Young and the Restless spoilers. In the dim glow of the hospital room, Faith and Lucy lay side by side, their hands clasped together as though holding on for dear life. The room was silent, save for the faint beeping of the medical equipment and the occasional rustle of the sheets as one of them shifted slightly. The two young women were still, their bodies close, their breaths sinking in an unspoken rhythm of relief and fear. After the recent scare, the thought of losing each other had left them both shaken to their cores. Faith had been in a coma, a tragic consequence of a horrific accident that had left her family and friends on edge, fearing the worst. Lucy had been inconsolable, sitting vigil by Faith's bedside, praying to any higher power that would listen. When Faith finally awoke, it felt like a miracle, a second chance at something that neither of them had fully understood until that moment. Tears welled up in their eyes as the gravity of what had almost been lost weighed heavily on their hearts. Without a word, Lucy wrapped her arms around Faith, and Faith, too weak to resist the comfort, melted into her embrace. They cried together, their tears a mixture of sorrow, relief, and a deep, unspoken connection that neither had dared to acknowledge before. "Thank God you're okay," Lucy whispered through her sobs. "I don't know what I would have done if I lost you, Faith. I don't think I could live without you." Faith's heart skipped a beat at those words. She had always known that Lucy was special to her, but it was only now, in the wake of their near loss, that she realized just how deep those feelings ran. She had tried to push them aside, tried to convince herself that what she felt for Lucy was nothing more than deep friendship. But lying here, with Lucy's arms around her, Faith knew the truth. This was more than friendship. It always had been. For as long as she could remember, Faith had been drawn to Lucy in a way that she couldn't explain. There had always been something about her, something that made Faith's heart race and her thoughts scatter. She had tried to hide it, even from herself, by being cold and distant, by saying things that she didn't mean, hoping that the harshness of her words would bury the warmth that Lucy ignited within her. But it was no use. Lucy was embedded in her heart, and now, after everything they had been through, Faith couldn't deny it any longer. Lucy pulled back slightly, her tear-streaked face hovering above Faith's, her eyes filled with something that Faith had never seen before, hope, mixed with fear and a vulnerability that made Faith's breath catch in her throat. "Faith," Lucy began, her voice trembling slightly, "I have to tell you something, and I need you to hear me out, okay?" Faith nodded, her throat too tight to speak. Lucy took a deep breath, as if summoning all her courage. "I love you, Faith. I've loved you for a long time. I don't know when it started, maybe it was always there, but I know it now. I love you, and I want us to be together. Like Mariah and Tessa." Faith's mind raced. Mariah and Tessa. The couple had been through so much together, defying odds and overcoming challenges that had tested their love in ways that most people couldn't understand. They were an inspiration, a symbol of love that transcended societal norms and expectations. But they had also faced significant obstacles, not the least of which had been the reactions of those around them, including Mariah's parents, Sharon and Nick. Sharon and Nick. The thought of them sent a shiver down Faith's spine. They were loving parents, but Faith knew that their acceptance had its limits. She had seen it firsthand with Mariah and Tessa. Sharon had struggled to come to terms with her daughter's relationship, with the idea of Mariah being gay. It hadn't been easy, and it had taken a long time for Sharon to even begin to accept it. But another daughter? Another daughter who was gay. Faith could already imagine the look on her mother's face, the mixture of disappointment and fear. Sharon had been so relieved when Faith had started dating boys, so relieved that her youngest daughter wouldn't have to face the same struggles that Mariah had. Faith wasn't sure if her mother could handle this. But then there was Lucy. Sweet, beautiful Lucy, who had been there for Faith through thick and thin, who had never left her side, even when Faith had pushed her away. How could Faith turn away from her now? How could she deny what she felt, what she knew was real? Faith looked up into Lucy's eyes, and for the first time in a long time, she felt something she hadn't felt in years, certainty. It washed over her, calming the storm of doubts and fears that had been swirling in her mind. "I love you too, Lucy," Faith whispered, the words surprising even herself with how easily they came. "I don't know what this means for us, but I know that I don't want to lose you. I don't want to pretend anymore."